Hello everyone and welcome back to round 2 of the Moto America League on GP bikes. Now today we are off to Kota, but first up I just want to show off my personal livery made by Keity Lemon. He's well known in the GP bikes community for making some very tasty skins. Fortunately I didn't have the leathers in time for tonight's race, but I will have them for round 3 as of the time of recording. They're pretty much already made, but I just didn't have it in time. I was pretty late getting on to people to get a skin made, so that's kind of on my end, but just wanted to show it off. Now I'll throw a picture of Johnny Ray on screen from Argentina 2020, I believe it was, where they use a retro livery from the old ZXR 750s, I believe, on the new ZX10. Pretty much it's a copy and paste of that onto the 2008 ZX10, but I think it looks absolutely class. It has my number. I'm getting a full set of Day and Easy leathers to go with it. But yeah, I just want to say a massive shout out to him for making that. It's pretty damn cool looking. It looks even better in game. But without further ado, let's jump over now to qualifying for Kota, where we have some fun. As you can see by the title of the video, it is a bit of a clusterfuck this episode, so let's jump in and see what happens. So you join me here with about 5 minutes or so left in the session. We just set a 2:10, which is not a bad lap time. My personal best lap at this point in all practice was a 2:08.8, so I'm looking for a low 2:09 or high 2:08. We got very close on the exit of turn 1 to a fallen rider. We have to use all of the track. Watching this lap back and considering how fast the lap time was, it's actually not a great lap, but it's still quite quick. We get to snake pretty clean using literally every curb possible, getting as much of the track as possible just to cut through it as quick as you can. Some very fast boys in here again. There's actually a few missing, so we might have a chance at a podium this week, but there still is 3 or 4 riders ahead of me that are quick. Biker Gaming, they're crashing right on cue as per usual, but we fly down through this very fast left hander down into this hairpin, and there's a slow rider ahead. He just takes my eyeline a small bit and we're kind of worried where he's going. We're actually hoping, at the time I was thinking maybe he'll just put in front of me and give me slipstream. It's worth almost 10 miles an hour into the braking zone here if you get slipstream. Unfortunately that wasn't the case to me, but we are about 0.6 or so under from what I can see in my preview window, so we're on a pretty storming lap at the moment. The 2:10 isn't terrible, but I knew myself that I had to be a 2:09.5 or below really to be kind of happy with my qualifying. So we come into this very tight sector here now. We have some really corners that fold back on themselves. Very awkward bit of track. These 2 corners here, this double left here, watch out for this in the video. I have a massive moment there. There's a bit of a ripple in that corner. It's very easy to crash. A lot of people take a really wide line. You notice in the race when I'm around other bikes I have a totally different line and I look like I have a big speed advantage over certain people, but more on that later. Into the penultimate corner. Unfortunately we are a million miles away from an apex, and it didn't actually catch us time, we gained time, so imagine if I hit that apex there, I would definitely have gone maybe 2 or 3 times quicker. Pretty nice in the last corner, up to the line, actually just touch the AstroTurf, that catches me again, so just definitely about half a second or so easily on the table. We do a 2:09.1, so that would have been the quickest lap of the weekend if I actually put it together. We end up P4 on the grid. Ignore Dill 998 is me, so 98 number, or P22 sorry, is me, but I joined just having some frame rate issues and left, so I'm actually P17, so you'll see that in the race. But P4 top Kawasaki, which is my main goal every week, and behind 3 pretty fast guys. If I did nail that lap I probably put it on the front row, but as everything, you don't always nail a lap at such a long circuit. Kota is a track I do like, and I'm hoping for a podium here because there's a few boys missing that might be ahead of me, so we're going to push hard for this one. 4 red lights and we are off, and it looks to be a pretty good start. We're being squeezed by Azrael Yellow up into turn 1. What a dangerous turn. I did 1 into an opening lap. It's so tight. I'm being so gingerly through here. We're up to P3 for now. Azrael Yellow though has the inside line for turn 2. We're not going to fight him too hard, so good start for me. We've got away with the quick boys. I think I can actually go away with them if I can just get into a rhythm and go, so I'm pretty happy early on now just to be sat in behind some of the fastest men in the league, so might learn a few things from these boys here. But early on here it looks like already they're quite slow through the snake. You can see Azrael Yellow there is all over the back of Dario Andrioni, some wild card for this round. I don't know how many races he'll compete this year. The winner from last round is not here this weekend, so it's time to make up some points if we can. Azrael Yellow makes the move on him and is just ahead of him as we go into the fast left. I am kind of getting held up as well. I was thinking of moving here. I do actually outbrake him. He releases the brake, cuts across my nose quite aggressively, and kind of caught me off guard really, and I end up not getting a great run out of here because of that, just because I was a bit confused of what he was doing when he cut across my nose so aggressively. But that Suzuki is the quickest bike in a straight line in this mod, so you see I just get left a small bit behind on the straight, and I'm a bit too far really to be sending it on lap 1. You can just see here now in just a second the Vela has a big moment into the tight left-hander, thankfully not touching me, but we'll have more contact with him later as you will see. Now at the moment this guy is just slightly holding me up. You will see again here in this second. You can see now, look at the line, they take really wide line and I'm really tight. I don't struggle as much with the front end issues. I kind of got it down to a T and I was pretty comfortable through there, and it was actually probably the strongest part of the track for me. But you can see now in these long right handers I get this Kawasaki turning pretty well, and I'm taking yards out of him, and I have a look into the penultimate corner. But again now, I'm not trying to be overly aggressive. I don't want to take him out. I want to complete a clean move. He is also quite quick. He's not holding me up that much, but he's just taking a couple of miles an hour of corner speed off me at the moment, and I'm eager to kind of get away with the front 2 if I can. But at this point, at the end of lap 1, we've lost the gap already to him, so at this point now I just want to get ahead of him and see what I can do in clear air. And again, he's a bit wide and pulls me in, but I just get to stop slightly better. I'm right on the back wheel of him again. Usually you wouldn't want to follow this close to someone, but I'm trying to get the move done. Again, you can see I gained so much mid-corner. I'm using the top end and that kind of grunted Suzuki over me, but you can see through the snake here, he's a big moment. We gain and gain and gain, and we're gaining the whole way through here. We're so close to him. If anything happens, we are down, and he absolutely has no corner speed. And unfortunately, I've basically had no choice, and I've killed who that was, but I apologize to him. I think it is Rafa Espi. I can't say that, I don't speak that language. We call him Rafa because that's his first name. I absolutely murdered him on my bike, unfortunately, so apologies to him. But the issue with the Dario, I think his name was, he had just no corner speed, and that's where I was quite strong around this track. And as I basically used my corner speed, I ran into the back of him almost. I had to pick the bike up, and as in real life, if you make sharp, aggressive, kind of random moves on a bike, you will cause you to crash. Unfortunately, we tucked the front. There wasn't actually contact, but if I didn't set it up, there would have been contact and I would have crashed anyway, so kind of a lose-lose situation there for me. So unfortunately we didn't get past him, and now we have crashed again in race 2. At this point now I was pretty annoyed at that because I felt like he was holding me up, and I was quite annoyed that I've basically thrown away a part of the podium chance now at this point. So we're back in P8 behind Arda Melandri and a couple of others of the regulars in the league. So at this point now, you can see in here, look, they all go for that wide line. I take a tight one, square off Melandri. Do I get around the outside? I lean him on a small bit. He gives me the room of fairness. Now at this point I know he's going to cut back, so I just leave off, take the tight line. I have a pretty sweet turning bike at the moment. It's pretty well set up for me. This weekend we're at a bit more of a conventional racetrack compared to the last track at Daytona, so it looks like I have a bit more pace, a bit more confidence, and we are pushing forward. So again, we look to be one of the faster riders, especially in this midfield at the moment. We're behind the Crivier 28. Fortunately, we just go on the green there, get a bit of wheel spin, that grips then when we get back onto the curb, and I get a bit of wheelie. So P7 at the moment. Disappointing opening few laps after the crash, but our pace seems strong, and we're going to just push on now and see how many positions we can gain back in the next 2 to 3 laps. So at this point in the race, I was just kind of sending, I was just going for broke really. I do have soft on the bike as well, even though it's such a long and fast track. Tyre wear was very low. We get held up a small bit here through the snake section by Crivier. Pretty crucial part of the track this. Again, he just is in the middle of the track there, can't really go past him in here. It's really hard in certain parts of this track to overtake, but as I was saying with the tyres, the tyre wear was very low for the most part of this race, so I did take a gamble at soft. Now on this mod, it's actually not a soft or compound, it's just the top rubber is a bit softer, so it kind of moves around a bit more. It doesn't really give you much performance. You can see my braking distance there, couldn't really tip in because he was there, so I ended up going slightly wide. But we do get a good exit. We're right on his tail of his R1. We're just going to pull out the slipstream straight away. Up through the box we go, and he pulls right back in, but we go right back across the track to the racing line. He's alongside me here, but we're going to just make sure we just outbrake and brake him as late as I can. using all of my ZX10's powers to get it stopped, and thankfully we're just parking on the apex. Up next now is Tavella, someone we've already had a close contact with. I have no idea how to say this guy's name. Cane de Lenny di Pio, something Lario or something. I'm gonna call him whatever, I don't know, Max Biaggi is what his name is because of the Camel Yamaha. Anyway, Tavella again seems to struggle this corner, out onto the green, spins it up and we get past. So that is my massive overtaking spot at the moment, is that awkward niggly little turn of the back end of the sector there. So at the moment I'm making up all my positions here. We are back up to what I believe to be P5. It's Alex Nogueira, I think he is Brazilian, is up next on a 999 I believe. So the first of the Ducatis and the only Ducati I believe in the championship, but we're on pretty good pace with a couple of overtakes that lap, a few mistakes. We do a 2 minute 10 I believe, let's see in a second. 2 minute 10.9 was 09, so 2:10 dead, so it's a pretty quick lap time overall. So we are closing in now on the, it's actually the Crivia I think again. Are we behind them again? It's hard to see their names from so back, but watch how quick we go in the slipstream here. 184, 85 miles an hour is what I'm doing without slipstream. 193 miles an hour there, and we gain a lot of speed, and it actually is Tavella, another rider who slipped past me a while ago. So we are back now behind the R1 again. We have a lot of interactions with this guy. So around the inside we come, and that's another move done in this little sector here. We keep getting the moves done here. It's pretty awkward, this part of the track, and a lot of people don't have the confidence. And unfortunately he does actually bite the dust in that awful little corner, so unfortunately for him, but no doubt we will see him later in the video. Now at the start of lap 5 we're up to P5. At this point P4 ahead was the Ducati, and that was where I thought was probably my ceiling this point in the race. Realistically I started P4, I probably only have pace for P4. Maybe in the early laps I might have been able to get ahead of Dario and see what I could have done against the top guys if I had a bit of a toe, but after the issues early on I kind of was pretty much kind of guaranteed that P4 was the highest I get if I could get there at all. But we are on a pretty good lap here now. I believe this is my fastest lap of the race. We are catching the Ducati head quite quickly. And again here now we should just pick up a small bit of slipstream. We get a very good run out of here. Just a bit of a small wheelie. Just again a bit of the issue with the Kawasaki I'm having is a lack of rear grip, and then when it grips it wheelies. So fortunately we weren't close enough this time to get slipstream, but maybe the next lap around. So getting up to P4, there's a yellow flag ahead. Don't know who it's for. I think it could be a lap rider because I don't see anyone crashing or off circuit. But we are again in this tight little section here. We just seem to carry a lot of entry speed in. We get the bike turned there and we get a good drive out. We just seem to have better lines. We seem just more confident and quicker through here. And we almost run into the back of Alex. He does in fairness pick up and give me the room in case I was going for it, but it was just my natural line was to go in that direction. We just get the bike turning quite nicely through here, but unfortunately we're just on the wrong side of him into the penultimate corner. We do try and have a look around the outside, but he kind of parks on the apex and leaves me nowhere to go. So maybe into turn 1 if we can get close enough, but we actually make not really a mistake. We just, again, in certain parts of the track my entry speed is better than people around me, and unfortunately I have to kind of just pick up and go wide and avoid him. I do get a good run them here. I don't elect to go for a slipstream because he's going so defensive. No point forcing moving back into P4 and P5 now, where I'm kind of back to where I need to be. So at this point now I'm pretty calm. I don't really need to go for a move. We have many laps left. I know I'm quicker, so at this point in the race what I should have been doing is being cautious and just kind of waiting for the mistake from him and not forcing it. But as you'll see in a second, I'm not that smart, am I? We are again much quicker through the snake. I'm kind of being held up a bit in the mid section of this track, corner speed bit. But again he goes quite defensive here, which means we get the interesting line here. We can't really tip in here. We give him the space though. Again we try and line him up here, get the drive up the hill, which we do. Our 4-cylinder versus 2-cylinder. We get the run down here. He's actually holding up mastery there. We have a quick look behind and we send it up the inside, and it's a lovely looking move, and we do get it stopped, but unfortunately he taps my rear. So unfortunately, by the look of it, he probably didn't expect me to get it stopped. That is Manu who goes through there, the track creator, and I believe Tavella, I want to say. So not happy with that at the time. I was pretty annoyed that I got tapped up the rear because I made a clean move. I got it stopped. It was a pretty good move in my opinion. And unfortunately, he just ran into the back of me. So little mistake from him. And then unfortunately, I don't know if it was tire temps was an issue, but we just basically tipped off there. And there was Tavella going past Ard Melandri through as well. So now we are back down to P9. So we've all that hard work to do again. So lap 6, and we're pretty much nearly outside the top 10. So not happy at this point. One mistake pretty much at this point I'd made now was that small little slip off at the end of the straight there. Melandri again makes a mistake coming out there. People just really struggling to get the power down. I thankfully could just turn across them and keep the corner speed up just to pull away from him. So we're back up now to P8. Next up is P7. We start hunting him down again. Melandri pretty close to the back of me there, had a little look, but thankfully we have a good enough line and high corner speed at the moment. So we need to just start getting back into the rhythm now. A couple of crashes, not an ideal race. Out on the AstroTurf there, not great, but we jump forward now to later in lap 7. And we are gaining on the rider in front, which is, I believe, Tavella on his R1. So we pick up some great pace. We get into his slipstream here though. We should just pick up a slipstream, just a bit of a slingshot down the straight. We're just gaining ever so slightly, you know, the slipstream we can see 185, 190, 191 that time, so not as quick, but still enough that we should really pull in a gap on the back of him, and thankfully we get it stopped pretty well. Now we're coming into the sector where we passed him already twice in this race, so can we make the move again? Green flag, so someone has binned it behind me. This time Tavella though, it looks like he's got that mini sector there pretty well, but again, we do gain through here. He doesn't look very confident. He picks it up again, but this time I got so close to him I actually couldn't pass him. So maybe final corner, turn 1, some of the overtaking positions. He's taking very wide line, cutting the back for the later apex, carrying as much corner speed as he can. He's quite wide there. Now I maybe could have had a run at him into the final corner. We just touched the green, I get a wheelie and they're just not really on. But again, he doesn't get us stopped. I cut him back, I want to square him off to the line, and we just have a small bit of contact. I get a wheelie which kills my drive. It just kind of leaves him back alongside me, but we're going to just slightly move across onto the racing line and we'll brake nice and late. I'm just going to park it on the apex of turn 1 and that should be move done. But unfortunately Tavella, probably the same thing again. I don't reckon he thought I was going to get us stopped, and unfortunately he taps my rear again and I get sent to the moon. So that's race crash number 4, lap 8. Now we have lost another position again, so we're right back down now. We're behind Melandri again now and Tavella. So at this point now I'm pretty fuming because the race has just completely gone against me. I've had such good pace, I've made a couple of mistakes on my own, I've had some very unfortunate incidents with other riders, and we're just not getting any luck. Now the two up ahead are battling, so I'm thinking I can easily jump these two here if they go side by side, which to do. That is Melandri going on the green, so he's really slow through this corner. We really take advantage of it. He goes off the track, comes back. I'm not really expecting him to come back, and I've absolutely smacked him. At this point now I was just full of rage. Now I don't wait because the two riders who previously knocked me off didn't wait, so I presume everyone was kind of in the agreement that they weren't waiting if the collision. If I got a penalty afterwards, it was been kind of just that. It was just unfortunate. He comes back on track, I'm just trying to take my normal racing line, and unfortunately I absolutely murder him. But we're back behind Tavella once again in this little mini sector that I'm pretty strong. We just keep it tight, a lot of rear brake. He goes again a little wide, he picks up in the mid corner, goes out onto the green, does no grip out there, and we are back up to P5 I think that is at the moment, or P4 at least, or P6. So we're back into good points again now with a lap and a half left. There's not much really I can get more than this, so at this point now I just need to bring it home. The rear end there you can see drifting. The rear tyres, these soft tyres, are probably starting to give out, and as soon as I touch the throttle, steps out, and unfortunately we killed Tavella again. So that's like my 4th bit of contact with Tavella in this race, unfortunately. So we get away anyway, but unfortunately you can see there a little blue Suzuki, a man that we didn't see since lap 1. Biker is back on my tail now. I actually get turn 1 all wrong because of the fact I'm coming in at a weird speed, don't know where to brake, the rear tyre just has no grip. Biker thankfully doesn't try a stupid move into turn 1. He's right there now, he's ready to pounce. any more mistakes from me, and he surely will have a go at me. Now, we are pretty close in the championship, so if it ends in these positions, I think we will be level. So at this point now, I just need to not make another mistake on the final lap and just pretty much bring it home. He has some good pace, Reese, in fairness to him, so I have to be quite aware and quite, well, shall we say, defensive on this last lap. Thankfully out of here, I just get good enough drive out here. I just seem to best him out of here, and I just break the gap a small bit there. So that probably is just enough, because that Suzuki in testing was a lot quicker than me down the straight. So in here, I'm really just trying to get the bike stopped and squirted out and just give myself a bit of an advantage over him. Thankfully, it is about a second or so at the moment, so we just pulled the gap up to a comfortable margin. But now we just need to bring it home for the finish line. We are in P7, I think. The time screens don't really update quite regularly enough, so it's quite actually hard to remember what positions you are at all times. But overall, this race has just been a clusterfuck. Like I said, the pace was there. 2 small mistakes for me. Mainly the mistakes were made because I chose a soft front soft rear. I hadn't done full race length on them. Now the pace is still there, because like lap 8 and lap 9 I'm still doing quick laps. It's just we're kind of giving out at like random times, which was just unfortunate. So maybe going forward I need to be a bit more conservative with my tyre choice, and it probably will pay dividends in the longer races like these. But we are coming into the penultimate corner now. There's a crash further back. It's not Biker, I don't think. Actually not sure who it was, but it's going to be a disappointing result, unfortunately. It's P6. It's not really a terrible result, but for what I had hoped for in this race, I was a bit disappointed with this, especially with my 2 mistakes, the 3 crashes of kind of not my fault, the 2 my own crashes. So terrible, unlucky race for me, but what can you do? Now we have the championship standings. Azriello takes the lead. He has a second and a first to his name, so he's cleaning up at the moment. Lou Coyd Rock is up into P2. Daniel Savani, who won race 1, is in P3. Alex Noguera is in P4, 2 4-place positions by the look of his points. Biker is on equal points to me, but ahead of me on comeback, and I is unfortunately a little bit behind him. Manu also just in behind me on 18 points. Rico, who was missing one of the faster guys this week, is still in P8. Bunta P9, and the wild card of Dario rounds out the top 10. So next up, round 3, we are off to Road Atlanta. We will have our letters made, and we just need to finalise and make a step for that weekend. We just need to cut out the crashing. I'm not usually a crasher, but so far in this league I've had like 7 crashes in 2 races, so you're not going to win any race or any championships. My goal for this one is top 3 in the championship and to be top Kawasaki. I believe if I'm consistent enough I could do it, but with these crashes and these mistakes I'm not going to be anywhere quick enough. So Road Atlanta, the goal is to challenge for the podium, show good pace, and stay rubber side down mainly. But I'm going to leave there for today's video. I hope you have enjoyed round 2 of the Moto America League. Join me next time for round 3, where we travel to Road Atlanta. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one.